You're listening to 90.1 FM WEFT with your girl Renee Angelah, and I am bringing you another episode of Health and Soulful Being. As you all know, that is a show that airs on UPTV, but you hear it live here first, guys, on the Thursday morning menu. And I am so very honored to have instructor James Stewart in here to talk about Tai Chi and Qigong, and he's just a wealth of information. So we should enjoy all of this. And of course, UPTV Sunday evenings, 9:30 p.m. And if you missed any of the episodes, you can visit my YouTube page. Just look up user Renee Angelah, ReneeAngelah. I've compiled the past episodes, into a playlist called Health and Soulful Being. And you can look forward to looking at the past episodes. But right now, let's talk about the present moment, because that's what we're going to be into for right now, the present moment with James Stewart. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Oh, thank you for coming in so early in the morning.
My pleasure.
We're going to get this started off. Tai Chi and Qigong. We have the flyer that you guys circulate in our studio, and it says, nurture yourself, live better. And you can join anytime in evening classes at the IMC on Wednesdays.
That's correct.
6 to 7:30 p.m.
Yes.
And IMC, or Independent Media Center, is located at 202 South Broadway in Urbana. Mr. Stewart, let's get things started by just giving a little bit of background information about yourself and your trainings and what led you to Tai Chi.
Oh, I lived in San Francisco when I was young, and I'd walk through Golden Gate Park and see people doing Tai Chi, and I'd be looking all around at all the things that were happening in that park in the late 60s. My mother would be grabbing me by my arm, say, don't look at that, don't look at that. But I'd seen Tai Chi there, and it had fed a curiosity about it. Didn't have a chance to study really until I was here in Champaign-Urbana.
Was the curiosity because your mother kept saying, don't look at that?
I mean, that might have had something to do with it. It may have.
We always kind of do the opposite of what our mom says and dad say until, we grow up, and then we...
Yeah, well, no brings your attention to things.
Yes, it does. It enlivens that. Just as far as... we talked before, and you've had other trainings also as opposed to just Tai Chi. You were talking about like jujitsu.
I've done some jujitsu.
Yes, and what else have you studied other than in that
some
Eastern
Aikido.
modality? What is Aikido?
Aikido.
Oh, Aikido.
Yeah, it's jujitsu without the deadly strikes.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much.
All right. And anything else that you do, like kung fu or karate or?
No.
So jujitsu, is there any correlations between jujitsu and Tai Chi?
I'd say that in both, one's using one's partner or opponent's energy in controlling the situation.
All right.
So not trying to overpower somebody, but allowing their energy to move through you.
Harmoniously. All right.
That makes it work well.
Yes, and that is one good thing about Qigong and Tai Chi, about they put you into a harmonious space with your own body. But for the listeners out there that aren't familiar with what is Tai Chi and Qigong, what is Tai Chi and Qigong, especially even what does the words mean?
I'd say the Tai Chi is a type of Qigong. Qigong literally translates as energy work or energy cultivation.
Yes.
So cultivating your Qi, your life force energy, and developing that. Tai Chi, the simplest Tai Chi would be a smile, a sense of integration of spirit, mind, and body. Somebody who makes a genuine smile,
Yes.
There's a sense of relaxation, a sense of openness. I'd say that's probably the most simple description of Qigong.
Okay.
But there's a lot of other practices that one can do to cultivate that energy and develop that and make that more accessible.
Just imagine just starting with a smile to relax people.
Yeah.
So
And relax yourself. It's integration of all the different things inside of you.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
When you smile, and I just played a song at the beginning of last hour, towards the beginning of last hour, called I Smile. And I told the listeners that when I am feeling down, I play this song that talks about smiling, even when you're down, to smile because it makes you feel better.
It changes things.
Yeah, so it just kind of changes those molecular structures and makes you.
Yeah, I'd say probably some chemicals flow differently when you're
Yes,
smiling inside the body.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, as far as Tai Chi goes, or Tai Chi goes, are there any like tenets or like principles of Tai Chi?
I suppose that there are. Thinking about like mental principles, it doesn't really jump out at me. Doing the practice cultivates certain things, but I don't think you have to subscribe to those things to do it. There are certainly postural principles that are really, really important.
And what's one of the postural principles?
An idea of zongding, a sense of uprightness. It's often translated as being perpendicular to the earth. So, the earth and being standing straight up.
Okay.
But I'd also say it's just about being aligned through the trunk of your body. There's various energy centers in your body.
Yes.
Getting them in line is maintaining zongding. There is no internal power without that sense of uprightness. One can't use one's core muscles to do things.
Okay.
If one's bent or twisted or slouching. So that sense of uprightness, connectedness, your head, your heart, deep in your belly. Those things in line, and you're cultivating zongding.
Okay.
I'd say that's an important aspect of the art.
All right.
There's a thing called the five bows. So having a sense of roundness in your body, soft roundness in your arms, soft roundness behind your legs. The fifth,
like a
the
curvature.
yeah, curvature. Roundness is powerful. Chi likes to flow around curves. You have a hard, sharp edge, and energy's not going to flow as well.
And as far as I was thinking of when you just said that, made me think of feng shui and not having the sharp corners because it cuts off the energy in feng shui. That's kind of what they.
Yeah, feng shui. A lot of people are attaching a lot of things to that, but I'd say
Yeah.
that's true. That's the way I'd look at that. The fifth set of bows is technically the spine. The real power in Tai Chi comes from the spine. But I often, when I'm working with beginners, I'll tell them that the fifth bow is actually a curve through the groin, having a sense of softness through your hips and your groin.
Okay.
Really connects you with the earth and allows you to move really, really freely. Sets up a lot of power. If you have that roundness between your legs, your back is actually dropping and elongating and storing power, which is the fifth bow.
Oh, wow. Goodness. Okay. My gosh, I lost my train of thought there.
I'm sorry.
So much information. And my mind is just reeling. That's when I lose my train of thought, is because so many questions are coming in my mind. So I'm trying to pick one of the questions out of my mind to ask you. I also noticed that in Tai Chi, there are a lot of kind of slow and methodical movements. Why is that?
Oh, we definitely train very slowly. It's very beautiful. I'd say if you're moving slowly through a set of movements, if there's a place where your musculature structure is weak, that'll be reflected when you move slowly, and you get a chance to really integrate and create strength all through your whole movement. People will often reach a difficult thing, and they'll try to move fast through it, not show vulnerability, not really. Then you're glossing over a weakness in yourself. So when you practice really slowly, you're really getting all your muscles to integrate well. You're cultivating a sense of smoothness in your movement, which is quite powerful. I think smoothness would be something that you could evaluate any movement from.
Yeah.
You could look at something and say, "Oh, dang, that's really smooth. That seems to be well integrated." I'd say that it's about integrating mind and body, that slowness. And it's also said that slowness makes for speed, this idea of Tai Chi, the yin and yang. If you practice slow, fast is easy, and you'll have it. You'll have precision then, because you've moved slowly and you've moved all the way through the movements. You won't be cutting corners. So it increases power, and it increases speed. I'm in my mid-50s. I'd say at one point I was really hoping that Tai Chi would make me less clumsy, and that hasn't happened. But I almost always catch what I knock over now. So I'm getting faster as I get older, which is kind of a nice idea.
So you're harmonizing with the objects in a sense.
Well, I'd say maybe you could put that. I'd say actually I'm just much more integrated between what what I think and what I intend and what my body will do. And that's, I think that you do any kind of physical discipline, and that starts to show. But I think Tai Chi in particular, Tai Chi and Qigong, really, really cultivate that quite well.
That mind-body integration.
Yeah, have your body do what you intend for it. That's a very powerful thing.
To flow in the movement of grace, in a sense.
Yeah, sure.
While we are talking about the mind-body integration as part of this experience, what are other health benefits to Tai Chi?
Oh, there's quite a few. There's been a lot of research done. My teacher, Yang, did quite a bit of research at the University of Illinois, and there's a lot of people doing research all over the place around the benefits of Tai Chi. Young Lasher started doing Tai Chi when he was 8 because of a heart defect. He was living in China.
Okay.
He could not afford to go to a big city to get some health care. And so it was recommended that he do Tai Chi. And he was really weak. If you weren't healthy, if you couldn't pass a health exam in China, you couldn't go on to advanced education, which meant that your life was really in trouble.
Right.
And so it was really behooved parents to really take good care of their kids so they'd have a future. Anyway, he started doing Tai Chi. He is now a very, very powerful human being, and no traces of the congenital heart defect. That's kind of weird anecdotal kind of thing, but there's been research around sleep. The Tai Chi really improves the quality of sleep and the depth of sleep. There's things that suggest it really boosts the immune system. It certainly prevents falls. That the coordination stuff really helps senior citizens avoid falls, which could be quite devastating. There's a lot of things. But immune system, sleep, coordination. I think those are things that really jump out.
And really big things in our lifestyle. You were talking about teachers of Tai Chi, and one of them that you mentioned would he be considered the originator of Tai Chi, or does it go back further? How far back does Tai Chi go?
Well, Tai Chi as a piece of Qigong goes back quite a long way, and Qigong is relatively a modern word. It used to be called Dao Yin, a set of exercises around cultivating and nurturing yourself, nurturing your energy. Tai Chi as it exists right now, you could say it's 400-year-old art. Clearly, it is much older than that, but as it is structured right now, it's easily traced 300 or 400 years ago in the Qin village in China, central China.
Okay, all righty. And let's see here. What else? Are there different levels of training when it comes to Tai Chi?
Certainly. Unlike maybe Japanese martial arts that I participated in that have belt systems, there isn't a belt system in the training that I do. I imagine some Tai Chi schools do have belts, but we don't. If you're cultivating your energy and you're really doing all the practices, you can touch somebody and I think you know how low you should bow. And if you don't, you figure it out pretty quick.
And what's one of the first things that you guys teach like beginners?
We start with teaching form. Most people think of Tai Chi as these slow rhythmic movements, and that's generally where we start. But I'd see Tai Chi as really a synergistic thing between three main activities. The Qigong piece, as I said, is the root. There's things that are considered static Qigong, sitting meditation, standing meditation. Those things are really important to the art, and I'd say are really the foundation of the art. We start training those pretty early in people's training, but we start with form. Then there's the form work where you do these choreographed movements. And then there's push hands, a sense of playing with somebody else. How do you touch and listen? That really gives you information about your own body structure and about how to deal with your opponent's energy. Qigong cultivates your energy. Tai Chi form really helps you think about how you use that in your body. And then push hands is how you deal with somebody else's energy and protect your own energy in that process.
You mentioned meditation. Do you guys focus on meditation at all during the training, or?
I'd say that really there's a saying that if you don't know the miracle of stillness, there's no way you can know the miracle of movement. So in that sense, our training is really rooted in meditation. Without meditation, It's just a really nice fitness exercise. But I say with the meditation piece, it's really, it contributes to your intellectual development, your spiritual development, and your physical development. It's really quite astounding.
Oh, wow. Are there any similarities between Tai Chi and yoga?
I would say there's a lot. I've never really been a serious yoga student. I'd say that there are different paths to the top of the same mountain. You know?
I've studied a little bit of yoga. I'm not an expert at it, but I am bringing in an expert. But when you were talking about just the center and the groin area and softening that movement in your central area, that is something that I've seen that it seems that yoga really focuses on, is softening those areas, and I've always wondered why. So you got
well, it's really a different approach. I think in some ways. My wife is a 25-year yoga student, and sometimes she'll instruct me in some yoga, and she'll say, lift this, lift that, and I'll say, oh gosh, Tai Chi, we let that go. We relax that. But I do think it goes the same thing of just really elongating the spine, creating space in the spine. That really is going to create health for the overall being. And I think both disciplines take you in that place.
Yes.
Different approaches, though.
To bring those energy centers into balance, or
Yeah.
what the
And
chakras.
alignment.
Yeah.
Or dantians, we might say in Tai Chi.
Yes. So that is fabulous. All right, let's talk a little bit about the classes that are offered on Tai Chi and Qigong, and where people can go, and actually, what do you normally see as far as your classes? Do you have older students? And when I say older, I mean older in age, or do you tend to get a lot of young college students, or what seems to be your
I'd say,
demographic?
Champaign-Urbana is a little bit of a transitory town, so that makes a student group be, change quite a bit. And I'd say that we have quite a bit of diversity in the people that study with us. But we have quite a collection of older folks. They tend to not move away from town so quickly.
Right.
We do have young people coming in that are studying at the university, interested in Tai Chi. But then they graduate and go away. And so we're always looking for young people. I think sometimes young people look at Tai Chi and think, oh, that's slow. That's not really what I'm thinking of in terms of martial art or a spiritual discipline. But actually, it's quite wonderful, those things. We practice a lot of agility, a lot of movement, which would interest young people. I think we're always looking to bring young people in. I think it's a really wonderful art. I've been studying for about 18 years. I think I'm just starting to scratch the surface. I started, I guess, when I was in my mid-30s.
Okay.
And boy, I see some young people and I think, boy, if they would start now, the skill and the things that they would develop would be just astounding. And so I'm always looking for young people to bring into the fold.
Oh, goodness. And one of the things might be focus.
Sure, yeah.
If you start early, you can focus. I wonder if there's been any studies. While I'm thinking about focus, my mind is unfocused. But as I was thinking about focus, I wonder if there are any studies in relation to like Tai Chi, Qigong, and ADHD, or
I really don't
improving
know.
that.
There are people in the Center for Tai Chi Studies that are really up on current research, and I unfortunately am not that person. But I'd say my ability to focus and concentrate has really been sharpened, over the time that I've practiced.
Well, like you said, that if you fall, or you knock something over, you're quicker at getting a hold of it.
Yeah, and I think if you develop and practice a sitting meditation practice or a standing meditation practice, often one starts with a sense of one-pointedness of mind. You put your attention on one thing, and then that drops then into kind of a groundless place. But that ability to focus and say, put your mind on one place, developing that discipline, really translates through your whole life. Being able to put your
Yes.
attention on what the task at hand is.
Right.
You open up the show by talking about being present. I think people are often worried about what happened next, or I'm a little freaking out around what might come out of my mouth next. But being in the moment is something that we can cultivate. And and it really helps us bring all of our attention, all aspects of ourselves to that moment, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yes, that present moment, or sometimes I like to say the presence in the moment.
Yeah.
And that's the present that we all receive. Just this presence in the moment, the kind of thought process. I always like to think of it in that terms. Let's see. Right now, do you still just only offer the evening classes, or are you offering?
We're not
any
offering
other-
the afternoon classes
Okay.
right now. I think we'll reopen those soon. We have our Wednesday evening 6 to 7:30 class, and then we have a class on Saturdays.
Okay.
It's an advanced class, Saturday morning class.
All right. And what do you how many sessions do you have to participate in before you go into the advanced class?
I think that anybody could enter our advanced class. You may not feel comfortable there. We're practicing with sabers. We're doing.
Now, what's a saber?
Saber's a one-edged sword, a Dao, a Chinese Dao.
Okay.
Dao translates as knife, and so a saber is a
Now, that would be
a big
cool
Dao,
to see.
a big knife. Having only one sharp edge, unlike other kinds of swords, you really have to have a spiraling in your body to keep the sharp edge going out.
Oh, wow.
So it's a really beautiful set of forms and principles. We play with that on Saturday mornings. We work on forms which are a little more difficult. Paojui cannon fist form, a little more explosive Taiji form. We practice that on Saturdays. And then we
Okay.
run a push hands class on Saturdays.
All right. So Wednesdays and Saturdays currently.
Yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit about Wednesday because that's really our
yes.
fattest thing.
Yes, well,
you
go
know,
right ahead. We have time to talk about Wednesday class. Let's talk about Wednesday's class.
You know,
I actually visited one of your Wednesday classes.
Yeah.
And it was really nice. They actually went to the park.
That's unusual when we get to go to the park.
Yeah.
We did a little field trip that day. Typically a Wednesday class, there's an open practice from 5:30 to 6:30. And if anybody's really curious about Taiji, I'd invite them to drop by the IMC between 5:30 and 6. There'll be people in there, and you could ask questions and see a little bit of the art, see people practicing. So class starts at 6, and we run, generally, I'd say about 45 minutes of group Qigong, where we're doing some active moving Qigong, and then we also do some static Qigong, some meditation, standing meditation generally. And then we break into groups. We teach Yang Yang's research form, the form he developed when he was doing senior studies at the university. So we teach a 7-movement form so people don't have to worry too much about memorizing a bunch of choreography. And then we teach a Chin style 48 form, which is just a really, really fun, kind of exciting form.
All right, great. And if someone wants to join a class, how do they get in touch with you all?
Taiji.com, Center for Taiji Studies.com. I think either one of those will link you to our website.
Okay. I've got online registration, centerfortaiji.com/classes. And then I also have a phone number, 351-3188. Is that a
Yeah,
workable?
that's Grubeschisch Lascher's phone number.
Okay.
Scott Grubeschisch is
All right.
the lead teacher in our school right now.
Okay, and that is Wednesday evenings. Like you said, come like around 5:30 if you are curious.
Curious.
About
I'll be there, and so there'll be some other people practicing. And you can see the art. It's nice.
Yes, and then the class starts at 6. So
Class starts 6.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so very much, James, for coming in. James Stewart with Tai Chi, talking about Tai Chi and Qigong. Evening classes at the IMC building, 202 South Broadway in Urbana. And then also Saturday classes, same place? Or
We
different?
generally meet at Hessel Park
Okay.
for Saturday class. Sometimes we're in the IMC if the weather's poor.
Okay. And what time is the Saturday classes one more time?
9 a.m. 9 a.m. to noon. It's a long class.
All right. Yeah. Oh, wow. That is long. But you guys cover a whole lot in that. Thank you once again, James, for coming in and discussing Tai Chi for my listeners and my viewers. Once again, you can view this footage on Sunday evenings, 9:30 p.m. It's Health and Soulful Being, UPTV Channel 6.